in the state of Minnesota is not of that caliber. We are having a peaceful protest, and I don't know anything about what happened in Dallas. My son died just the other day, and I haven't had sleep in almost 48 hours. So, no, I haven't been watching any television, so I can't answer that.
All right, I appreciate you being with us. We know how difficult this situation is for you and the entire family. Diamond, you're there. Everybody came to know you in this country through this episode where you took to Facebook Live. How are you doing?
I'm not doing so well. Emotionally, I'm tired. My daughter, I'm just trying to keep her strong and encourage her and constantly keep praying for justice.
There have been a lot of questions about you and your daughter. She's 4 years old, we understand. She was in the car at the time. We heard her speaking to you afterwards, trying to console you, which was heartbreaking for all of us to witness. How is she?
She's not doing well, but she's the typical 4-year-old girl. She's smart as ever, she's brilliant, and she's going to be graduating preschool today. Phil would have been there to watch her graduate because he was like a father to her. So she's very hurt, but with the help of family, we will get through this. We will.
And Diamond, as you're dealing with your own personal pain, what do you want people to know about what you want for Philando? We see your shirts that it says rest in peace. We see your crucifix around your neck. What is today about for you?
Today is not only about justice and getting justice, but it's about all of the families that have lost people. This thing that has happened in Dallas, it was not because of something that transpired in Minnesota today. This is bigger than Philando. This is bigger than Trayvon Martin. This is bigger than Sandra Bland. This is bigger than all of us. So today I just want justice for everyone around the world, not just for my boyfriend and the good man that he was, because I'm going to continue to stay strong for him, and I want all of you guys to do the same.
Valerie, what are you hearing from authorities about the investigation into your son's death? We do understand that the Department of Justice is going to be involved. Are they in contact with you?
In reality, I have not heard anything about his death, or I have not been in contact with any type of investigators. No one has reached out to me as far as anything concerning him. As a matter of fact, since my son has been killed, murdered, executed by the state of Minnesota's police officers, I have not yet to see his body.
And have they given you a reason for that, Valerie? You had mentioned that yesterday, that you wanted to be able to identify your son, that they hadn't given you that opportunity. What's the reason that they're offering? Is it the investigation? Is it the autopsy?
Well, it was the autopsy at the beginning, and I don't understand why it was important for them to have dental records or fingerprints, because I think my eyes could inform them that this was my son. Absolutely. So they kept me from seeing him, and once they completed the autopsy, I was told by an individual that works at the coroner's office that they did not let people view bodies at that facility. I was denied access to my son's body, and I have yet to see him now. They called me and said that I could come and see him after other things had transformed as far as my time limitation.
Clarence, you've obviously been sticking very close in this situation to make sure that your nephew is treated with respect by investigators. Are you satisfied with what you're getting from the authorities?
No, as my sister said, the authorities haven't shared any information about the investigation. They took a long amount of time before his body was released. Actually, we found out late last night that my nephew's body was released, and it is in a facility near around, and we will be viewing his body today. But no, I'm not satisfied with how things are going. I believe that, you know, the autopsy report said that there was a homicide committed committed. And normally when there's a homicide committed, somebody's arrested and there are charges.
Absolutely.
And at this particular time, we haven't heard about anybody being arrested or any charges.
Absolutely.
And we are going to have an investigation done by the Department of Justice and not the BCA.
That's right.
An independent source.
You want it to be in.
BCA was the ones.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Diamond.
The BCA was the ones that. The BCA were the ones who came to the scene, contacted me, and questioned me. And Chris Olsen was the one who gave me his business card. He has yet to reach out to me. I've been calling him. He has yet to reach out to his family, to myself or my daughter. And I just feel very sad and outraged that a police officer could take a man's life, but there's absolutely really nothing being done behind it.
Diamond.
This is undoubtedly a murder of this young man. We absolutely need an independent Department of Justice investigation. This is a murder that has been captured on videotape thanks to the presence of mind of Diamond. And everyone saw it. We can see what happened here, and we want justice. People are tired of what has been happening to young black men across the city, across this country, and we need justice by way of an independent Department of Justice investigation. We'll be requesting that the congressman step up and request that. I understand that the governor has made that request, and this family wants an independent investigation that they can trust and rely upon. The trust has been lost in the local police department and local law enforcement. So we need that independence if we are going to trust that investigation. In addition to that, we need our own investigation. We want to do our own independent autopsy. We want to do our own independent forensic evaluation of that video. We want to capture all of the sound that was recorded by Diamond so we can see what they were saying as he was dying in that car, and they placed her in a different car and they were putting together a story about what happened. Exactly. All of that needs to be evaluated thoroughly.
Okay.
We want to do it ourselves, and we want it done independently by the Department of Justice.
Understood. Thank you very much, Counselor.
That's right.
Understood, Valerie. Diamond.
Everyone needs to be held accountable.
Understood. You want the closest thing to the truth you can get, and that is going to lead to the accountability that these situations deserve. We understand. Diamond, you're the only one who was there. And we see your video from what happened after the shootings. What can you tell us about how these shootings happened? What do you remember?
It happened fast. They said that it was a truck stop, and it really wasn't.
Traffic.
A traffic stop, and it really wasn't. I mean, only the officer at hand knew what he was thinking when he was transferred from a different state to come to Minnesota. And I just feel like at the end of the day, there has to be justice served. Minnesota is a state where everyone comes together, and I just would really, really appreciate it if everyone, every force can come together on this case and stand together, because this is something much bigger than me. I'm going to be strong, but it's my daughter that has to live with this on her little brain for the rest of her life.
Well, Diamond, take us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Diamond, as heartbreaking as it is that your daughter had to be here for this, you did too, and I know that's not easy for you. What did you see when the officer came up? You said it was called a traffic stop, but it wasn't. Supposedly it was about a busted taillight. You're saying that's not true. What happened when the officer came to the window?
He asked us, did we know why we were being pulled over? And he asked if we had license and registrations. Those were the only two questions asked.
And what did Philando do? Did he comply with the request?
He absolutely complied to the request. He absolutely did everything that the police asked him to do up until he was killed.
Now, one of the things that comes across is your exchange with the police officer.
What the officer was doing, what he was thinking.
Right. That
Right.
would be a better question.
Right, but I can't.
What was the officer thinking?
I can't get that from you, though,
It's
Diamond.
really
Right?
hard
I mean,
to keep. I'm grieving. I'm grieving the loss of a loved one, of a best friend, of a role model, and a father figure to my child. You guys are constantly keep asking me all of these disturbing questions, And I've already made my statement. I don't want to keep reliving this moment.
Absolutely.
I want my justice. I want that police officer's name to go public. And I want people to know who did this to us. Who did this to our city, our state, and our country. It's not you, it's not you, it's not you, it's none of us. We didn't do this to ourselves, and I just want the world to know that.
Understood. Understood, Diamond, especially during your time of pain. We appreciate you coming on to talk about it.
Family.
That's right.
That you want justice. Larry, let me ask you something as the counselor for the family on this. What I'm trying to get at there is that there's all this confusion about what happened before the video. How do you think that we'll be able to find out the closest estimation of the truth of what happened there?
They're asking you that they want to know
What happened
before the video. What would you say?
Well, I can answer that question.
How to determine
There's dashboard cams.
Sure.
what happened to the police cameras that
Yeah,
were supposed to be
that's right.
recording.
They're supposed
He
to be-
pulled up behind us. 2 police officers came out, one on the driver and one on the
Gonna get into
passenger.
that.
So therefore, there
Listen,
should have been police cameras recording.
We need the opportunity to get access to the information that should be public. This is a public municipality. They had cameras on the dashboard. We want the cameras. We want her phone back. It's her phone. She posted the video. You have the video. Give us that information. We want access to his background. We want access. My understanding is he's been on the force less than 4 years here in St. Anthony.
Yep.
There's a consistent pattern if you look at a lot of these shootings. These are inadequately trained officers that are given badges and given weapons, and they are
Licensed to
wreaking
kill.
havoc because of the inadequate training that they've received. We need access to this information, and we need to do our own investigation and also have an independent Department of Justice investigation. That's what we're calling for right now. We hope everyone will join in that call so that everyone can see exactly what happened to Philando and we can have justice in this case.
Yeah.
Valerie, we do know that the police have put out at least a couple of the names of the officers who were there. We're going to learn more about them, but what do you want people to know about who your son was so that he's not just remembered for how he died, but how he lived? What do you want people to know about who was lost?
I would like to speak on it.
I want people to just pay attention to the marches and the protests that has gone on, and the protests as far as where he worked, and people as a whole know him and they understand him and they share their independent
Thoughts and
feelings for him.
He was a good man.
So he was a good man. He was a good son,
raised
and
very
he
well.
was a law-abiding citizen, and he died by the law. That's as far as I
He
can
was
tell
the
you about
ideal
that.
man for every mother would want their daughter to have someone like my babe. Every woman would want a hard-working man with no kids like my babe. Every woman would want a man to accept their child out of wedlock that was not his. Everyone would want that man to be their son, their brother, their husband, anything. Because he was a family-oriented man. He was raised by these men and this woman right here. And he would never even harm a fly. He was very happy. He was very calm. He was the most laid-back, lovingest person. If you guys know anything about cancers, you guys know that we are very emotional people. We are very loving, wholehearted, sensitive people. And yes, he may have died against his will, but I and my daughter will not let his name go down in vain.
We
And
will
that's
not.
all I have to say.
We will not.
The family will not let his death be in vain. This
Thank
is
you.
not over. We need justice, and that's the bottom line. Without balance and check, there's only chaos. That's the only thing left. If you don't have balance and check in the Department of Justice, then there will only be chaos.
And Clarence, you had said earlier that you still haven't heard from the authorities the way that you want to, going from being able to identify your nephew's body, for Valerie to go in there and see her son, and you haven't heard about the state of the investigation either. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, but as I said earlier, the body has been claimed, and we will be visiting with him today. The investigation, we haven't heard anything in regards
Nothing.
to that, but we're looking forward to hearing something soon, I hope. But we'll be doing our best to get justice served after Philando is laid to rest.
And what do
that's
you
what
want?
we're working on next, get my nephew laid to rest.
All right.
And then we'll work on getting justice served.
Clarence, Valerie, I know how difficult this is for you to be dealing with a nephew and a son. We appreciate you being with us, and we'll stay on the story.